It has been 10 years since the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut killed 20 children and 6 staff members. Now, the national nonprofit Sandy Hook Promise, led by several victims' families, is asking us all to mark the anniversary with a pinky promise. Literally, they are asking people to post photos of their interlocked pinkies on social media, along with their promise to do all they can to protect children from gun violence. Last week, I spoke with Nicole, Hockley, and Mark Barden, the co-founders of Sandy Hook Promise, about how they're reflecting on that day 10 years later. Take a look. Thank you both for being here. Nicole, I know you lost your son Dylan in the shooting. Mark, I know you lost your son Daniel. How are you both doing 10 years later?
Well, it's still, honestly, I find it hard to wrap my head around the fact that it's been 10 years since I last held Dylan. Time has become very surreal in the last decade, and because for me, he's still my 6-year-old boy, and I think about him every day. And while his older brother is grown and taller and is now 18, Dylan is still that day, and he's still in that moment. So so much has happened, but I still can't really wrap my head around it.
And I know you've called him your butterfly. I see you're wearing your butterfly today on your necklace. Mark, how is it for you to look back and realize it's been 10 years?
Similarly, it's, time is warped. It feels like maybe Daniel's just in the other room. And my family and I are continually having to wrap our head around the fact that this happened and that Daniel's gone forever.
Nicole, the CDC says that guns were the #1 cause of death for kids and teens in 2020. What do you make of that?
I think it's horrific. And I think that if that doesn't send a message to people that we're not doing enough to keep kids safe, then I don't know what else we'll get through. But if that is the #1 killer of youth under the age of 19, we're doing something drastically wrong as a country, and our children deserve so much better.
Now, Mark, Sandy Hook Promise says that the organization itself has prevented a number of credible planned school attacks. Can you tell me more about that and how that happened?
So we've learned that there are always warning signs before somebody carries out one of these atrocities. And what we do is we train students and parents and teachers how to recognize those warning signs and connect somebody to help before it becomes a tragedy. And that we can speak to now, at least 11 school shootings have been averted by students trained in our Know the Signs programs who have taken those next steps and gotten somebody to help before it was a tragedy.
And I know you have a program that teaches this, but can you give us a little bit of that? How do you tell the difference between someone who's just blowing off steam versus someone who poses a real threat?
We have a whole training module. The training comes, it's not just an assembly, but it's built into the culture and the climate of the school. And students are taught what to look for. And there are so many different warning signs, and some can be very subtle. Many of them are in the social media platforms where the students are seeing them, where their parents are not seeing them, where we're not seeing them.
Yeah.
And they're trained to say, maybe this is nothing, but it's still something I have to tell my trusted adult about.
Now, Nicole, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones recently filed for bankruptcy protection after he was ordered to pay $1 billion for spreading falsehoods about the Sandy Hook shooting. What's your reaction to that, the ruling, and now his bankruptcy filing?
Well, the ruling sent a very clear message that it is not acceptable to maliciously and purposefully spread misinformation for your own personal agenda, in his case money, that harms others. So that was a very strong message. And, over the years that we've been working on this lawsuit, he has tried every ploy possible to delay, to change, to alter. His personal bankruptcy is just another stalling tactic. But we're not going anywhere. This isn't about the money. This is about getting consequences for his actions, and that is going to happen.
So, Mark, tell me about the Pinky Promise Initiative and how else you're marking this 10 years of remembrance.
We know that mass shootings and other acts of violence they're not inevitable. They are preventable. And we're asking everybody to step into this and take actions. And by doing that, it's a symbolic gesture. I'm making my promise to do everything I can to protect children from gun violence. And I think we always say this, we can all agree that we want to protect our children and we want to make our community safer, and there are ways that we can do that, and we're asking everybody to join us in that mission.
So, Nicole, where do you think we are? When you look at where we were 10 years ago when your children were killed and where we are now, how do you reflect on that?
You know, what I've seen over the last 10 years is a movement build. This used to be something that politicians didn't talk about. This was something that was only dealt with in halls of legislation. This was something that people didn't engage in. And now, I mean, Sandy Hook Promise alone, we have 8.5 million supporters, and there's so many other groups doing such great work as well. This is now something that politicians will campaign on, and there are parents across the country that are saying, we want to do more, as well as there's youth across the country saying, we have a voice in this too, allow us to help build safer communities. So the last 10 years, a lot has been accomplished in terms of what we've done with our programs and saving lives, and we have that tangible evidence that this model works. But you've also seen this tremendous movement become much stronger than the gun lobby that existed at that time.
So, Mark, where do you want us to see? Where do you want to see us 10 years from now? What tangible changes are you hoping for?
We want to train scores of millions more students and parents and teachers in our Know the Science programs. We do this work at no cost to the schools, thanks to the generosity of our donors. We have a model that works. The students really take this seriously. And as we have just said, 11 school shootings that we can speak to, hundreds of suicides have been averted by students trained in our Know the Science programs. We just need to keep getting this out there and keep training students across the country. That's
amazing. Mark, Nicole, I'm so sorry for your loss. You guys have gone through something no parent should, but it's amazing what you have turned that into. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.